Okay, we're talking about the Song of the Day, and today is Friday, so we're going to talk about the Song of the Day for Friday, which is on page 74 in the Siddur. So the Song of the Day talks about God's kingship, God enclothing himself in his royal vestments and garments and ruling over the world, right? And so the Psalm opens, the Song of the Day for Friday opens with, "The Lord is king, he has garbed himself with grandeur, the Lord has robed himself, he has girded himself with strength, he has also established the world firmly, that it shall not falter. Your throne stands firm from of old, you have existed forever," right? That's basically, we're talking about God's kingship. It's a reference to the Messianic era when God will be king and revealed king forever and ever. But also, it's related to Friday. Why is it related to Friday? Because Friday, the sixth day of creation, is the day that God creates man. And when God created man, he's finally now able to be considered the king of the universe, because it was man who brought the world to an acknowledgement of God and to serve God. The Medrash says that that when Adam stood up, so God creates Adam, he's lying down on the floor, right? He creates him from the dust, and he blows his soul into his nostrils, and Adam stands up for the first time. And all of creation, you can imagine what happens, the reaction of all of creation when they see a human suddenly stand up for the first time. They were in awe. This is God's handiwork, created in the image of God. And all of the animals and all of creation came to bow to Adam, thinking, this is it. Then God has revealed himself in the form of man. And Adam says, no, it's not me. It's God, created all of us. Let's go acknowledge God. Let us go bow and prostrate ourselves before God who created us. And Adam brings all of reality to recognition of God and to praise God. So it's Adam, the first man, who on Friday, and really actually at the onset of Shabbos, brings all of creation to come acknowledge and to praise God. Question, of course, is, what do you mean? There are angels that were created earlier. All the celestial beings and the heavenly angels all created earlier. They didn't recognize God. They weren't praising God. So the key is that it's really mankind that really makes God king. See, the celestial beings and creatures are ones that are completely aware of God's existence, and not as aware of their own existence. And so therefore, for them to praise God is innate and natural, instinctive, and really they're compelled to. There's no option for them. They can't deny it. And so therefore they have to praise God. So there's no big deal in praising God when you recognize, when you have that full awareness. It's specifically man who has the capacity to whom God is concealed, who has the capacity to discover God and find God. It's when man, who looks deeply and probes and finds that that he has to acknowledge God, that's something special, that's something worth celebrating, that's something significant. And it's Adam, through doing that, or humanity through doing that brings the rest of the world to a proper recognition and acknowledgement of God. So that's something that happens Friday, and so that relates to that's the Song of the Day relates to Friday. Another point, interestingly, and that'll relate actually to what we're talking about in Tanya these days. We're studying now the portal of oneness and faith, and we're in chapter 4. And so you'll notice that it says here in the Psalm, the Lord is king. He has garbed himself with grandeur, right? He has girded himself, robed himself. We're talking about God dressing himself in sort of in kingship. So why is it that we use this terminology, the imagery of God enclothing himself in garments to show his sort of his rulership and his kingship? So the answer relates to what we're talking about in Tanya, which is that were God to not clothe himself, as it were, so to speak, then we would lose that capacity to independently come to God and praise God. Because if God were completely revealed and manifest, we would not recognize our own self otherness and our own existence. And just like a king can't be a king over somebody that's a part of him, he can't rule over your children, right? So the same is true. You can't call God a king if all of existence feels completely nullified to him. It's when existence feels separate, when he has subjects that then that then bow to him and acknowledge him. That's when we have God as king. So God guards himself, in a sense, enclothing himself and concealing himself, which allows for us to then acknowledge him and serve him as our king.